probably going to be seen by very few. That's all right. I think part of what we're going to do today is just kind of a discussion of what I like to do with Google searching and Google Chrome in general. And there may be parts of this that I shouldn't say maybe. I can guarantee there are parts of what I'm going to show you that you already do. And there will be parts that I might think are fabulous and efficient, and you may think, in no way would that save me any time, and that's all right. The website that's at the bottom is just a way to get to it right now if you wanted to. Otherwise, I will send you all an email that has this presentation on with the links that are embedded into it. So once again, that's just goo.gl/, and I'll put it up here. It's case sensitive, so one capital A, small k, lowercase d, capital S, capital H. And I'm going to show you a little bit of both of the tools. I'm going to start with Google. And I think this would be valuable if you opened another tab and tried some of the things that I'm doing while I do them. So it doesn't really matter what browser you're using. Eventually I'm going to be in Chrome. So if you have that, it probably will work better later on. But all 8 of these are things that you can automatically search for in Google that I think you probably knew some of which exists. So I'm going to jump out of this and just go into a Google search. The first one is called Tools. So if I'm in a blank Google page and I'm searching for something, I guess even stepping back one level, if your default search engine is Google, right? When you open up a new tab, it goes to Google. You don't have to type in this box. Typing in this box, the Omni box, is the exact same thing. So you don't have to move your mouse. You don't have to click somewhere else. But let's just say I was looking up something that I wanted to research. So for example, maybe what I wanted to research was Martin Luther College. And I don't think this is anything that's unique. You've done these types of searches before. What shows up at the top is what the world looks for the most. But when I say, did you know that there's something called Tools? When I do this search, on the right-hand side, if you've never clicked on that Tools before, there's some features there that I think you may find interesting. So for example, on the left-hand side, if I drop down that menu, it gives me 5 other options that I use fairly often. And I'm going to kind of throw it at you. I apologize if you feel like a college student and you don't want to, but why might I narrow it to past week, past month, past year?
Find something you've been to before.
Sure. Or, like, what does the past month mean? Like, what happened in the past month? Or, like, what is it searching for? So, in this case, if I was looking for Martin Luther College and I change it to past week, I'm looking for things that were published in the last week that are relevant. So if you look at this, it's saying Martin Luther College produced the candidate assignments, the call service, the whatever it might be. I want to look for just the stuff that was published. I don't want the general Martin Luther College. I want the news about MLC in the past week and nothing else. Or if you heard something about a celebrity or a sports team or whatever it might be, maybe you're researching, you heard news about a car crash or whatever it might be, and you know that that news is 24 hours old. If I just do general crash on Highway 14, it's going to look through every article that's ever been written about that. But if I know it happened within the past 24 hours or the past 1 hour, it's going to bring all of those to the top. Every news entity, everything about that happened within that past shorter abbreviation of time. You can also do a custom range if you know that the event happened at a certain year or a certain time. Number 2, I'm pretty sure that all of you have clicked on images before. So for example, I'm just going to keep Martin Luther College up here. When I click on images, we get everything that Google associates with images. And that's not a bad thing to do, but I'm sure at times you've realized that not all of these images are probably able to be shared Some of them are copyright, and you want to be careful about that. There are some features that have just appeared recently, like for example, when did the picture get uploaded to that website? And I think you get the idea that if I hover over a page, I even have a different feature on mine, I can also see how big that image is. So for example, 331 pixels by 500 tells me if I put that in a PowerPoint or something like that, using the rule of 300 to 1, this picture is about 1 inch by 1.5 inches. So if I blow it bigger than that, because it's probably a JPEG, it's not going to do any better. I'm going to have trouble taking this and putting on an enormous screen and having it look like it has high quality. But that's not what I wanted to show you. When you click on image, there are other features here. And one that I've found interesting that I do show my Teaching with Technology class is called usage rights. So if I change the type of picture I'm looking for, I don't have to do as much work to say this can't be shared, this can't be modified. So for example, there are pictures, if I click on, this is labeled for reuse with modification. That means whoever uploaded the picture went through the privileges, through things like Creative Commons or other places and said, I give everyone permission to reuse this and to modify it, no exceptions, you don't have to worry about it. And if I change that type of search, I have many less options to choose from. If I change my search to something like, this is labeled, it can be used for non-commercial reuse, there are things that have been uploaded that they explicitly said, we've given permission for you to use this or not use this. And maybe Martin Luther College isn't the right example if I just pick something like, I'm looking up Minnesota. There are many different things that are available for me to reuse without any worry about permissions. And if you don't trust Google, it doesn't hurt for you to click on and see where it came from. But most of these come from places like Flickr or other photos sharing places where the person who took the picture gave you permission to use it. That's number 2. Number 3, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it, but when you do a Google search, the tab that I think can move, I should say think, I know it can move from left to right depending on how you're searching, is the video tab. And when you click on videos, many times what comes to the top is a YouTube video, a news video, whatever it might be. But basically what you're telling Google is, I want to look inside of this search for just videos about that topic. And in my opinion, doing a Google search and then clicking on video gives me better results than me just going into YouTube and clicking something, because it isn't always YouTube where I want to find my video. If YouTube has a great video about it, Google will naturally put it at the top because YouTube is a Google product. But if I was looking for an idea like, I want to see a video about the autism spectrum, and I'm saying I'm only looking for videos, what can come to the top is YouTube items, it can be news items, whatever it might be. And all of the other features that I said, like I want to look within the last month or year or week, are still there. Most of you aren't looking like you're that loud because you've done this before. Number 4, if I'm looking up some place, like for example, I want to look up target field. And I'm just going to go back to all so you can see it. I think you've seen this before. This is the websites that you're looking for. Instantly, if it's something that's been on Wikipedia or someplace like that, they're going to pull out that information and give you that, different photos. And the feature that I use all the time is searching for a place and then clicking on the map. Like we've done this before. If I click on that map, it automatically opens up Google Maps. And if I click on directions from that, I can go directly to that place from whatever it is, like my location. Now what I really like about this, and I'll talk about this again, is if you are okay with all of your devices being connected, because I just looked up target field, like maybe I'm doing this before I hit the road. If I turn on my smartphone and open up Google Maps, if I don't search for anywhere, it's going to know that my most recent search in a map was Target Field, and it's going to automatically go there. Questions? We're good with that. Okay. Shopping, books, and flights. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I don't use them that often, but once again, if you're doing any type of search, depending on what you're looking for, you have other options like shopping, books, and flights. So for example, if I clicked on shopping, it's going to take me to places beyond just Amazon or eBay that are selling things about whatever it is that I'm looking for. I personally don't use this very often because I don't trust that this is the best deal, but there are other things in a Google search that are available in the more. So basically I've taken you through all of these different places here. Depending on what you look for, I've had my parents complain about this, like I said, look for a video, and they say, I don't see video here, like where did it go? Depending on what you're looking for, the items here are going to move. So if a lot of things about it are in the news, news is going to be your option. If there's a lot of videos about it, videos will be an option. Depending on what you're looking for, those options will constantly change. But basically, there are 7 of them, images, maps, shopping, videos, etc., that will modify based on whatever it is that you're searching for. I put a link on how a Google search works. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it, but I think it's kind of fascinating to find out like how do they index their searches and find whatever it is that they're looking for. Question 2, and this is what I kind of talked with Steve for just a brief amount of time about. Are you logged into Google Chrome? And my question would be, how do you know? And my answer would be, if you are, you see your name in the top right. If you aren't, then a way to be logged, actually I'll talk about the why before you just trust me that what I'm telling you is right. If you're logged into Google Chrome, then basically you have all of these features come into it automatically every place you are logged in. So for example, I'm logged into the MLC computer here, and it looks identical to when I open up Chrome on my own personal computer, my own personal laptop. So I'll lead you through my world. So for example, I like my settings on new tabs, pages, and passwords. So for example, when I open a new tab, I want it to open up Google. Some of you might say when I open a new tab, I want it to be Moodle, I want it to be Portal, I want it to be my Gmail, whatever it might be, because that's where I'm always going to. Secondly, I have it so that when I open up Chrome, it opens up the same pages automatically. And I'm just going to show you my settings. I don't have any problem with you seeing what I like. So when I open up my Chrome, and I'm a person that I work in a bunch of tabs and I shut it down and the next day I open it up, the places I go to most often are my own Gmail, my own calendar. I like it in this order too. I get even annoyed when my calendar is like 3 tabs over. I like my Hotmail, my Portal, my Moodle, ESPN, and my family's website. Those open up every time I open up Chrome. Those are in the same spot every time because, in my opinion, if I spend 12 seconds typing in the URL for the sites I go to most often, I could probably recoup that time. So some of you may have a different list. Some of you might not like this, so I'll throw my wife under the bus just briefly. She would say this doesn't make sense for her. She likes 20 tabs open and never shutting down her browser. Never is too strong a word. Occasionally she will, but she likes when she closes it, opens it, it's exactly where she was the night before. And there's nothing really wrong with some of that. Number 3 in this, I like Chrome because I like that some places it has my passwords, and some places I said you can never have my password. And you could argue I'm more lapsed than I should be, and I'm not going to disagree with you that you might be right. But for example, if you get into my logged in Chrome, you're going to get into my logged in Moodle. Whether that's right or wrong, that's my style. So when I just opened up a new tab and went to Moodle, all I typed in was MO. It knows I'm going to Moodle. My username and password are there, and I'm logged in. If I change my password, it's very easy for it to have it be resaved. If I go to a place like Amazon, I will have nothing saved there because any place that has my credit card is not going to get my password. And you could argue that there's other systems that you could use that could work well for you, but they're having, especially the teaching with technology class, I go to tons and tons of educational sites to demo things. So for example, somebody says, let's look at a Kahoot. When I go to get a Kahoot and try to sign in, I want to do this in very little time at all. So here I am, I'm there, I'm logged in, I'm ready to go. So the number of passwords that Google has for me is a lot of educational things, not a lot of personal finances things. The last three, bookmarks. I guess I'm going to throw it back to you. Like, how do you put a bookmark here?
Drag it up from the down from the URL.
Okay, so here's one way. You can take. He said take this, highlight it, and you can just drag it down. So if you're at a website and you want to remember it, if you just drag it down here, it can become one of the bookmarks that I have there. Option 2 is you can click on this little star next to the page, and that makes a bookmark. I have people I know that say, I don't like bookmarks, I don't want to have my page cluttered, I don't want 12 things on the page. And then my dad has all of his websites in folders from bookmarks. Like God bless his heart, but like this will be all sports things, so like Brewers, Cubs, blah 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 blah, and then this is he doesn't like looking in Google or typing in a few letters. He likes his system of whatever it is that I'm looking for, it's in this folder, I can find it and go from there. I'm not here to argue that that system's wrong, it's just not my system. History, and I don't say this in an evil way, but if you're logged into Chrome, what you type is remembered, and if you think about it in a positive way, I can almost guarantee that when I type in some letters, I can get to places faster than if I'm not logged in. So if I type in PO, it knows I'm probably going into portal. It knows if I'm typing in weather.com, not only, or WE, not only is it weather, but I usually go one down, and I want the weather of Newell. So here comes the today forecast for Newell, etc. So by being logged in, I get those types of things. And then lastly, I have extensions, and I'm going to force you to love a couple. And I think some of you have heard me talk about extensions before, but in my case, I love my 6. And I'm going to share with you 50 I've tried over the years, but these are my 6. I'll come to them in a minute, but I like Chrome almost better than anything else because of what I can automatically do inside of that browser. The more extensions you have open, the slower your experience can be, and the more battery you could drain. Question? Daryl, you almost looked like you were ready to say something, and then I just kept going to overdrive.
No, I'm with you. I'm just mulling over my use of those things.
Okay. Maybe they're exactly where you want them to be. All right, next. Do you know these tricks? I think I call these, you can do this on any internet browser. If you hold Control when you click somewhere, it opens up a new tab. Give me a nod, like you've done that before? No? So for example, if I'm on Portal and I'm logged in, so here's my Portal, I'm logged in, and I want a separate page to open up my advisees. If I hold Control while I click, it's going to open a new tab with just my advisees on it. You don't have to right-click and say open in a new tab or in a new window. If you just hold Control while you click, you can have multiple tabs open at the same time. You can certainly close down tabs if you want. Number 2, give me a quick nod. Did you know you can reorder your tabs at the top, drag them left or right? Okay. But what I use all the time is actually dragging my tabs out of the browser into its own thing because I want to split my screen. So I'll lead you through how I do it. So for example, maybe I want this presentation and I want Portal split screen. The way that I do it, and there are other ways, is if I drag this out, notice how it's opening up like a second Chrome that's open. And the reason I usually do that is I'm going to move this to the left and my other window to the right. And the easiest, fastest way to do it is just hit Windows button. I was going to show you, but this is wired. Sorry. If I hit the Windows button and the left arrow, it opens it to the right, or excuse me, to the left. And then I could take anything that's here and hit the right arrow and move it to the right. And then I could take this middle section and say, I need more of this, I need less of that. But for example, at times I might have student work here in my gradebook, I might have a website and an email, I might be emailing somebody, and I want to be looking at something kind of at the same time, even though I agree that Dan is right, you can't really multitask. I still kind of want to see a little of this and then a little of that, and not have to jump back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So dragging them out so that I can split my screen is something I use at least a couple times a week. Next, Chrome extensions. When do they automatically show up? And I'm going to say, to answer my own question in a bad teaching way, if I'm logged in, I'm bringing all of my extensions with myself. So to just kind of show you my methods, here are my 6. Sorry. My 6 that are here are, I like one-clicking to put it into my Google Drive. This could be a picture, it could be a page. I like having a place that is my downloads. So for example, if you ever clicked on something that downloads and it's like, I'm expecting it to show up like here, right? Or if you've got, especially if you use a Chromebook, like sometimes this doesn't even show up, and then I don't even know how to get to the hard drive. Like, I don't know the keystroke. So by having that, I have a one-click way to show the downloads that I've done into this open Chrome. This is not the downloads folder on my C drive. This is, I downloaded something, it's somewhere, I want to see it. So the the Chrome extension is downloads. This RW is read write. I'll show you the screen it has this in just a second. This will read or write any page that's open, any web page that's open. So if I want to be away from my computer but just have it read what's on the page, it can do that for me. This is one click to put something into my Google Keep, which I talked to you before about. If I were to pick what is the gold standard, I would definitely say Grammarly is phenomenal. I'll show this to you on a different screen. Grammarly basically gives me the ability to spell check and grammar check everything I type on the internet. So if I'm typing something on Moodle and they have no built-in spell check, Grammarly will do my spell check. If I'm typing in an email and there's no built-in spell check, it's going to spell check for me. If I'm in something like Word or I'm in something like Google Docs, it already has a spell check. I don't really need Grammarly to run, so it won't run. If you type on Facebook and you're worried that you're going to type something that represents a school or yourself, why not have it check your spelling and grammar for you? So my MLC students use Grammarly and AdBlock all the time. I don't see it on this one because this is an old version of Chrome. It doesn't have everything that I brought. But if I were to suggest what 2 things should be, if you use Chrome, what should you use? You should use Grammarly and you should use AdBlock. I don't think it's I don't think you can argue me out of that they will do you good. You know, I would use ad block because every website pretty much has ads on it, and you can block most of the stuff. Even if you go to a YouTube video, you could have the advertisement at the start automatically blocked. I gave you a list that has a link that goes to all of the extensions that I've tried. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to explain it in case you come back. Everything that I have in yellow are things that I currently use, and on this 5 to 7 page document are all the other things that I've tried and at times liked but now don't like. So this is just my screenshot of my extensions. Do you want me to talk through why I like things, or Blaze look like no?
Adobe, yeah. That basically grab the whole web page, throw it to a PDF.
And save yourself from having to click like file, print,
To
PDF.
You don't use it anymore?
Because I don't use it very often. It's not that I don't think it's good, I just don't print PDF very often. And I was getting to the point where too many things, in my opinion, were running. Some of these automatically are enabled even if you didn't do it, like being able to take over somebody else's Chrome if they give you permission. I talked about downloads. I like event merge on my Google Calendar. What that gives me the ability to do is if I take some event and make it my own. So for example, sure, here's a New Ulm Suzuki end of year picnic, and I say I want that to also be on my calendar. What that will do, this is an old version of Chrome, so it's not going to be as impressive. It's going to take, I can show it on my laptop, but you'll just have to trust me. It's going to take these two events and actually merge them together. So it's one event with two colors because it's two calendars, and now it's mine and theirs. That was not impressive.
Is that a way to solve the fact that at MLC, for our calendar, we have about 6 different departments that all claim the same event, and so if you've got them open, you get the same thing listed 6 times?
The only thing it's going to solve with that is it will merge with your calendar. You can't merge other people's calendars. You're merging other people onto your calendar. So for example, my wife can only see my calendar, so if I don't pull something from MLC into my calendar, she doesn't see it. She doesn't see all the extra education stuff that she doesn't frankly really need to be able to see.
So you still have those 6 picnic entries.
Yeah. Yes.
But if I have a calendar that is a composite of all of my other calendars, then that would work?
Yes. Yep. I like this one that I've used recently. I probably only have used it since, this isn't the right date, this is the version, it's called Hover Zoom. Any place that has a picture, if I hover over it, it makes it larger. So just to give you an example, like if I'm at ESPN and there's a picture on the page, if I am, it catches up, and I'm hovering over something that is picture worthy, it should become larger once it gets loaded. So whatever it is that I'm looking for, I can take that and see the picture in a larger variety. So if you looked at what I was doing, just having a hard time catching up, as I'm hovering over it, it'll take that picture and blow it up on my page so that I can see the picture in a little bit more detail. If you're at Mendeley, I like the one click for that. I think some of these automatically happen. I don't think there's anything else that's worth your time, and if you want to dabble with stuff, you can certainly do it. Once again, the 2 favorites of our MLC students are the ones I mentioned before, Adblock and Grammarly. I think we've done almost all of these. So I'm going to leave these 9 up here for 20 seconds. Doesn't matter which screen you look at. Is there any that you would answer the question with no, and you want me to help demo it? If you feel like I've already talked about it, you still want me to see it, that's perfectly fine. height. So if I go back to that spot, if I save a password, I can certainly go, I mean, there's some danger in putting your passwords there because you could access it or other people could too. So if I'm in advanced settings, I've said I want to have some passwords saved to just show you, like, here are the passwords I have saved in various places. So for example, I have my mom and son's Gmail passwords in my thing. So if I want to look at or overwrite it and my mother says, I don't remember my password, I could just open this up and unhide it and let her know. Because I've logged in once and saved it once when I'm logged in on Chrome. So any of these places, and if you look at this, I have, I don't know what this is, 50 saved passwords in one spot. It doesn't mean that that replaces having a good way to have a safe password and changing things and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about the last one then. Connecting to a wireless printer at home. If you have a printer at home that's wireless, it will probably say wireless printer or Google Cloud Print or something like it on it. If your printer is 2 years or less old, it probably is. And the easiest way to find out is you can go right into the settings when you're in Chrome and go into your advanced printer settings. It's called Google Cloud Print. And inside of that are printers that you can print to if you're on the internet. So for example, in my case, there are some, since this is the school's printer, this is different than other stuff. But when I'm at home, I have other printers. So for example, right now I could send something to my downstairs printer at home because I'm on the internet. And then when I'm in our wireless network at home, I have another printer. You get the idea. But if you're wondering, like, can I print from my lap to my printer, the answer is it's very likely possible. Another thing that, now I'm just going to go to general Google features and then we're going to be done. A big question that comes up from students and from a couple faculty members is jumping from one Google account to another. So for example, if you already use a different Gmail account, or in my case I have another University of Minnesota account, it's a little bit confusing for some to know exactly where you want to go. So when I'm in Gmail or any place that has my picture in the upper right hand corner, if I click on that printer or that picture, I can have other accounts added to it. And I'm just going to show you, like, for example, here's my Minnesota account. So what you're going to notice is that in this case, when I'm in MLC, I have the MLC logo. When I'm in University of Minnesota, I have that Minnesota logo that's open. If I click on something like Drive or Gmail or Docs from the picture that has the one that's in my Minnesota login, even though this is where I might lose you or it might make a lot of sense, in general, I'm logged into my MLC passwords and stuff like that. However, I don't have to be logged into my Minnesota settings to get to my Minnesota Drive or my Minnesota calendar. So for example, my Minnesota calendar is not very impressive. It's just things I put there. I don't have it linked to other things or whatever it might be. So if I'm in this tab already, then everything I click on this tab will be from within that domain. That makes sense? And if I want to jump between those two, if this is my own laptop, if I want to see my other email, I just click on this picture and this is already there. So when I log in, it's always MLC, but then I have other accounts here. If this was my downstairs computer, I would have this, and my wife's, and my son, and my other son, and my other son, and my other son. So that's multiple inboxes and other stuff. Everything you do is connected to other devices. I don't know if this is impressive anymore or not. So I'm just going to kind of leave you a couple things here. When you're doing a Google search, did you know that some of these things existed? So So for example, if you want to exclude words, features like minus gets rid of things. If you want an exact quote, putting things in quotes. If you want other unknown words like the largest something in the world, you can put in a star, etc., etc. 2 dots means a range, like I want to find a camera from $50 to $100. Hashtags, other things like that. Nobody's looking like they're impressed.
I use that for example, say you did a search for breast cancer. So if you put breast cancer in quotes, you can avoid some results you don't really want to come up. So, or whatever, sure, yeah.
And I use this site one a little bit as well. So typing in site and then where you want to have it go works very well. Sometimes I don't even need that, like it knows things about where I'm trying to go. I can also have, I guess I'll just kind of leave it there. You can have it search for only PDFs and other things like that. But some of these at times might come in handy. But John.
Can you talk about hashtags?
Sure.
I don't have a clue how they work.
I would say for the purpose of what we're doing here, I wouldn't worry that much. It would be, this is mainly a social media thing.
Okay.
So if people are talking about something on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be, this will search through what people are saying about it. So for example, if Donald Trump tweeted something and you did hashtag Donald Trump, you're going to get the top hits of what normal Joes are saying, and the top hits are going to go to the top. I personally don't use it.
Let's do a hashtag John.
All right, and then I'm going to leave you with, I would like you to have a Google tab open. So by Google tab, I mean just regular Google, like this. You can type either in the search Google area or on the top, and I want you to try some of these features that you may or may not have already done. So for example, I think these first 3 you maybe have done. So if you type in weather and then a city, you'll get the weather of that city. If you type in time and a city, you'll get the time in the correct time zone of that city. If you type in a stock quote, you don't even have to type in stock. If you know what your stock quote, what its initials are, if you just type in those 3 or 4 or 2 or 5 letters, Google will know to look it up. So I just to show you, like if I did MSFT for Microsoft, it's telling me that Microsoft today went down 1.7 or 1.7 US dollars. That's a 2.4% decrease today. And I'm just looking at it just in today's action. I can look at whatever this is over a month, a day, a year, etc. First page, I think you probably knew. Let's go to number 2. Timer, sports scores, unit conversion, or currency conversion. I'd like you to try one that you haven't done much before. So if you're a teacher and say, I want to have an 8-minute quiz, then type that in, like timer, 8 minutes. And you don't even have to have all the words. If you zoom in, it's going to go and stop. Having used this before, I can turn up the volume and have it be as loud or soft as I want. So when Professor Schmidt says you have 1 minute and 32 seconds to do your conjugation, they don't believe that you're going to do it. Well, how much would they be wowed if you went and said 1 minute 32 seconds like this, and they're just sitting with their jaws down, and then you're like, well, now you're down to 1 minute 28, so you better know what that vocative verb is.
Watch.
Can you embed that in like, could you embed that, if I were doing a presentation and I wanted to time myself, could I embed that in Google Slides and have it stay right up on the screen?
I believe the answer is not easily, but I also think the answer is there's got to be a way. going to pick the bottom two here. Unit conversions, it kind of opens up what I think most of you know about Google already. So for example, if I just pick something like 12 teaspoons to ounces, it's that impressive that Google knows how to do that. They're saying 12 teaspoons are 2 fluid ounces, but did you know that when you do a conversion, it opens up all the conversions of all different types? So it's kind of like Google knew you were doing a conversion. No, I didn't want that. I wanted area. I wanted 1 square yard changed to how many square meters. So if you do any conversion, you open up this menu of all the conversions. And it can be pretty advanced. So it can be 32 feet per second to 2 miles per hour. And you can do several levels of conversion. And I say that in 2 ways. Like, it's a powerful tool, and if your students have it, it's a powerful tool for good or for bad. I'll say mainly for good, but if the lesson is only on conversions, obviously Google is very smart. Those conversions, and I'm not going to show you a lot of it, also apply to foreign languages and other things like that. So, cat, English to Greek.
What it says?
You have
That's how I see it.
not just the conversion. Whatever, you don't have just that conversion of what that is, but you have all of the languages that they know. And I should say this is all of them. You could find more if you search for something else. But here are the most common, I'll say 50 to 100 languages and other things with it. It does a decent job with idioms if you bring in the phrase as a phrase. It doesn't do real well if a student is trying to do 1 word to 1 word and 1 word to 1 word and 1 word to 1 word. You get the idea. Right. Number 4. I'd like you to try one of these 3. So you don't need to have the colons. So if you want to define something, go for it. If it's a word that just naturally people look for definitions for, you just type the word in. But you have an automatic dictionary built into Google. You have an automatic map displayed. I tried Target Field that put the map there already. And you have movie show times automatically built in. So if there's a film that you're looking to see, whatever it might be. So when I'm typing Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? I didn't even type in theater movies. It's telling me that this is at AMC New Ulm and in Mankato and blah blah blah. I don't need to remember the name of the theater. I don't have to do this 7-level search. If I know what movie I'm looking for, it will automatically pick things close to you once again if you're logged into your Google Chrome, because it's pulling your location off automatically. The way that Google makes money is these things get to the top, and if you click on them, everybody's happy. You knew all this already, Daryl?
No, not all of it.
Okay. All right. Second to last page. I'd like you to try one of these 3. So you have a built-in calculator. And if you want to try something that's a little bit more complicated, you'll get a more complicated answer. So if you just want to try something basic like 37 times 4, go for it. If you want to try something like a power or a percent, go for it. If you want to try like a unit divided by a unit, go for it. It doesn't really matter. If you've never seen ranges, Google uses a range with 2 dots, not 3, because it's just saying between. And I'll just show what I show my math majors all the time. If you don't have a calculator nearby, you just use Google. And when you type in something basic, you get a basic function calculator. If I do something a little bit more advanced, like I want to see what y equals 3x plus 2 looks like, you're going to get a little bit more advanced graph and other things like that. If you want to do something more powerful than that, I wouldn't use Google. I would use something like Desmos. This is obviously, I'm more of a math geek. But I want to do something that's a little bit more powerful, here's the free TI-84 on every device at all times. It actually has more features than the TI-84 or Wolfram Alpha or something like that. But I'll go back to, I'm sitting trying to balance my checkbook. I don't really want to pull a calculator out, and I just want to test the checks that didn't balance. I'll use Google and just type in a couple features. And obviously, once you've typed in something, and I'll just do something basic like 2 plus 4, you have all of the options. Like I can continue to add to that. I can get rid of it. I can do something that's new. And even on the side here, I mean, you have something more than just the $2 calculator. This is like the $15 calculator. Radians and degrees and logarithms and other stuff like that. It's everywhere you have Google, you already have it.
What was the range of numbers for?
And this is.
Where range? That numbers can be matched. So where would I match those?
So I have never done it. So if you were searching for something within that range, we'll do it. So sure. Because sometimes doing 1,000 minus 5,000 is more confusing for their search. So I know it works if you throw dollar signs in there as well. All 4 of these. I didn't know about the bottom one until within the last 2 years, maybe 1 year, that if you have this package number, you just type in the package number and it knows all the places where the packages are. So if you have an email that has it, you don't have to go to USPS and then find a place, like look through the menus where's the tracking spot. Just type the word in, it's going to know, it's going to take you right to it, and you're going to find out exactly where it is. If you know your flight, you don't have to go to American Airlines or to Southwest, just type in American Airlines 18, it'll know the flight. If you, so some of you are giving me a look like I don't believe you. All right, go for it. I don't even know what flight this is. How about what's Southwest Flight 77? That's nothing. Whatever it might be. So here's American Airlines Flight 175. It's leaving Dallas Fort Worth today. It got delayed. It's arriving in Tokyo tomorrow. Get the idea. Real estate and housing, because they're tied to things like Zillow and other places like that, if you wanted to look for housing in whatever it is, you can find it. Public data, I think you've known this, things like ask Google, like, what is the population of New York City? It knows that. Or you can do public data. I said there's one more, this is the last one. My wife liked this bottom one. She's a music person, that you don't always carry a metronome with you, but if you type in metronome, you have the metronome with you at all times. Your metronome? Okay, yeah, good thing you have Google. So if you type in metronome, you can put the speed and have whatever it might be. I've never used this app. If some of you have space on your smartphone and want to try it, Google Goggles is the ability for you to, it's kind of like wearing Google Glass, where you can look at something, scan a barcode, and it will know things about it. Or if it can facially recognize what's going on, it'll give you the price. So for example, if I had my Google Goggle app on, I could take a picture of, or it would just look at the Surface Pro 4 and search its own site for Surface Pro 4s. Maybe you have issues like what's the zip code, what's the area code. Obviously those are there. You're at the point where it's so much that could be overwhelming. Thank you for your time. I'm at exactly 150. So if you want this presentation, here's the notes. Otherwise, I will email you again fairly soon.
Very good.
Thank you for all your time.
Thank you very much.
Interesting.